love that jam. Welcome back. Tight. It is tight, isn't it? Yeah. It's I feel like epic might be the right word for it. Is epic? Is that what the kids are using these days?
I don't know.
Yeah, epic might be out.
Yeah,
Prime.
Like 10 years
I think
ago,
Prime.
maybe.
I think Prime's still good.
Prime.
Lit. I know Lit's good. This jam's lit.
Look at Lit's, yeah. I'm the wrong guy to ask what the right words are.
Yeah, I hear you. Welcome back, everybody. This is Chris and Adam's podcast on sports podcast, however you want to say it. Coming back again. So if you're listening, we appreciate you coming back to us. If you're not, then I don't appreciate it because you're not listening to me, so I can't even tell you that I appreciate it. So if you do listen, I appreciate it. Come on back, listen again, subscribe, down on the bottom, I.O. Adam Skyline, because we did not get 15 new subscribers. So
that's all right. We're going to get them this time.
All right. That sounds good.
And listen, if you're listening, we need some help with the name.
Yeah, Chris and Adam's Sports Podcast or whatever just seems a little generic. Best one, you can put it in the comment section on YouTube or SoundCloud. Well, just YouTube pretty much because nobody listens to the one on SoundCloud. Or you can tweet at us on the tweeter. Adam's got a tweeter.
You can. It's Adam Schmidt 44.
And mine is Sickwittit, WHITTIT, on the tweeter. Yeah. So there you go. I don't do much with it, so I guess I'll have to turn my notifications on in case somebody actually did tweet me. So
do that.
I will. I'll notify it up. So our last podcast was Sunday, Selection Sunday, a week and a day ago. And since then, all hell has broken loose.
It has.
In college basketball. Tell me what you think, man. There's a lot that happened.
So every year you expect, everybody loves the tournament because you have buzzer beaters, you have close games, you have really, really good games. Buzzer beater.
Buzzer
good.
beater, yeah.
Okay. So you have really good games every year, no matter what. And so the very first game of the tournament this year was, I already forgot. It was Rhode Island. It was Rhode Island, Oklahoma.
It was.
And that game went into overtime. So it was a good way to start it off. That kind of set the tone, except for the fact that Rhode Island, which was the 7 seed, did beat Oklahoma, which is the 10 seed. That pattern would not continue.
No, and I took Oklahoma in that game. I thought I said Oklahoma would come out and win. You said they didn't belong in the tournament, kind of like I said Syracuse didn't belong in the tournament. about both of us on that. Not too good.
Well, we were both wrong about a lot of things.
Yes. Although, I got half my Sweet 16. I think you got.
Out of
what we took.
My picks, I actually did quite a bit better than I thought I did, which was 100% luck.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, I did quite a bit better.
That's good.
But yeah, just the first weekend, the first 2 rounds. There were a lot of good games. There were 18 games total that ended that were won or lost by 2 possessions or less, so 6 points or less. 18 games, and there were a lot of other games that were 10 or less. There were some blowouts, of course, but there were a ton of good games. Michigan's buzzer beater after the missed free throws. I tell you what, there's a lot of emotion you see on both sides every game, because every game there's a loser, and every team except Kentucky has seniors, which is that means their last game ever in college, and maybe ever in their lives competitively, was then. You saw it there, and that brings out emotion, and then winning a game. Even the best teams, when they win games, the 1 and 2 seeds that expect to win, they're winning games in the tournament, and it's jubilation. It's
unbelievable.
Yeah.
That's my favorite part of the tournament. Is my favorite and my least favorite part of the tournament is the exact same thing. My favorite is to see the excitement and the would you say jubilee? That's a
jubilation.
That's a jubilation. That's I love every second of that, and it breaks my heart to look at that team, to see the team that lost.
Yeah.
And I'm not gonna lie to you, I'm pretty heartbroken. It's this. I didn't know if I really wanted to do this today or not. After the way both schools from Cincinnati laid an egg yesterday, but still here, getting over it, and we'll get into that a little later.
Yeah. Well, what were your?
I mean, that Michigan shot was. I left for Indianapolis on Saturday morning, and me and my brother-in-law were watching games all day Saturday, and then Saturday night we were watching the I think it was Ohio State, Kansas, towards the end of the night, and I want to say that Michigan-Houston game was a pretty late game, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
It was very late.
Because I was watching that on my own on the TV. Everyone was asleep in the hotel room, all 3 kids and my wife, and I'm in a chair watching it, and took everything I had not to flip out.
That is tough.
It was
for you.
unbelievable.
Wow.
So when that kid hit that 3 at the end of the game, I was yeah, because you know how I tend to get a little excited. Adam almost kicked me out of a hotel room watching the Ohio State Xavier game in the tournament when we were at spring training 11 years ago.
I wasn't the one that almost kicked you out. The hotel staff almost kicked you out.
The hotel staff was not even close. Adam was freaking out.
If it wasn't like a $25 a night hotel, the hotel staff would have kicked you out.
It was a hell of a game, man. It was a hell of a game. Hell of a game. Michael Conley Jr.
Oh, yeah.
That was
Greg
that was him and Greg Oden. Yeah, that took us down that year. Anyway, that was what really set it off for me. The Loyola of Illinois with the nun and the whole team around the nun. That was pretty cool. But I'm not gonna lie to you. One of my favorite things of the tournament was, as much as I hate watching teams that lose and just them breaking down, to see Houston's man bun Gray go down was I felt so good. When that kid from Michigan hit that 3, all I could look at, I was looking for the man bun. Where's the man bun? I hope he's pissed. I hope he's so sad. I'm not a big fan of him at all. He's a cocky, arrogant prick. Reminds me of JP McCura, but he's not on my team. So
right.
I love JP. I don't like that kid.
Yeah, he's tough to watch, especially, I don't know. Yeah, I'm kind of with you. The haircut just kind of makes it hard to.
God.
But he's a really good player. He scored 39 points.
He did.
Game.
Well, and I thought Houston probably could have pulled that game out if he would have given the ball up a couple times. I think there was a couple times where he tried to do a little too much, and you could see the team standing around. I think if he, and in the end it was the Davis kid, I think, who hit the shot before that. Mm-hmm. But he took like 5 straight shots going down in that game, and I think, as good as he is, and he made, I think, 3 out of 5 of them, I would like to see him get everybody into it a little bit more.
Talk about emotion. Devin Davis did hit the shot to go ahead.
Yes.
And then missed the 2 free throws up to put Michigan in a position to make that last shot.
That's right.
So he went from thinking, I just won a game to send us to the Sweet 16, to I missed the 2 biggest free throws of my entire life in the biggest game of my life.
That's another one of the things that's crazy about the tournament, is to go from that. In a game, there's so much emotion swing.
There is. Yeah, it's in every basketball game, but in the tournament, it's dialed up times 1,000.
Yeah, I hear you. So how did your bracket end up, man?
So I can't remember the total number of games, but it was 5, 10, 15, 20, 25. I had 30 wins, 14 losses.
That's impressive.
30 and 14.
That's impressive.
And what I picked just in our podcast. Now, I filled out maybe 5 or 6 other brackets, and this was probably almost definitely my best one by far.
Was it?
Yeah.
Going back, I thought I did a lot worse, but going back, I got half of my Sweet 16. You got the ones that everybody else. I have Kentucky in the Sweet 16. I hit on that. I hit on the Zags in Michigan. But those are all, I feel like, two of those at least are everybody had. My East bracket was great. I just had Purdue losing before, but I had Clemson. I came back and looked at my picks from our last podcast. I was surprised to see Clemson down there, but I got them in there, and Duke. So, I mean, I got 8 out of the – I'm happy with that.
Yeah.
I took Xavier to win, obviously, so that's no good. Yeah, exactly. Who'd you take to win your game? Who'd you take to win the national championship? I don't remember.
I took Virginia.
Yeah, you get that too. Yeah, so much for that. How about that? History, a lot of history in this tournament.
Absolutely.
The first ever number. I was in such shock that I called you as soon as it happened, and it was late, and I apologize, but I knew you were still up.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
Yeah. The 135-0. Number 1 seeds over 16 seeds in the tournament history until UMBC, University of Maryland, Baltimore County.
Exactly, the Retrievers, baby, and they put a hell of a game up in their next game against Kansas State too. I mean, they were in that game.
They did. Yep.
They weren't shooting quite like they did against Virginia, but yeah, I was really nervous that Xavier, the first time Xavier ever gets a number 1 seed, and I feel like a lot of times we get in the same conversation as like a Gonzaga. Maybe we don't deserve that 2 and 1 seed. Back in the day when we were in the A-10, of course, and we get that 1 seed, and it's like, oh, the worst thing that could possibly happen would be to lose in the first round and to get your first number 1 seed and then make history. So Virginia, thank you. Yeah. You made history. I don't ever have to worry about that ever again.
Most people I heard, most prognosticators, most experts or whatever on TV were saying that they were taking Xavier to be the first number 1 to get knocked out. Not necessarily in the first round, of course, but to get knocked out of the tournament. And they weren't. Virginia, who was the number 1 seed overall.
Love it.
Was the first one to get knocked out.
As much, I mean, I love it because it wasn't Xavier, to be honest. Xavier, it doesn't matter. We got knocked out the next game, which was a heartbreaker. So it's amazing how fast, when we start talking, how quick this goes.
It's already been 2.5 hours.
Yeah, I feel like it has been. No, I feel like it's been about 3 minutes, and it's been 15 almost. So let's talk about then. Let's get this thing moving. Let's talk about the Sweet 16 in the Elite Eight. What do you have? What do you think is going to happen for these Sweet 16 games?
So in the South, you have Kansas State, Kentucky. Mm-hmm. I'm taking Kentucky. They're playing their best basketball of the year right now, and they have that talent that they get every year. It took them a while to get it together. They have it together. Kansas State's played well. Kentucky's better. Kentucky's a better team.
Kentucky, I have Kentucky in the Final Four in one of the 5 brackets that I filled out. I really think that I thought that there would be a way for them to sneak in a couple things, and I never thought this would happen in the South with the amount of upsets and the way this bracket is completely busted. So now it's almost like they have a walk. So I do think they're going to win. Looks like we're at 6 or 6.5 points at this point in time. What do you think? You think Kentucky can pull that bad boy off?
Yeah, I do.
You take Kentucky with points.
I can take Kentucky with points.
Look at you taking with points. There you go. I agree. I think at this point in time, 6.5 is not enough. I think Kansas State to be in a game that close with UMBC. Kentucky's right now is playing like Calipari gets them moving. I'd take the 6. And if I were you, I was perfect on Saturday on my bets. Just to let you know, 62% over the whole weekend. So not too bad. But I didn't bet every game, but I was 7 for 7 on Saturday and 7 for 10 on Friday.
Man.
We won't talk about Thursday and Sunday.
Where are you looking exactly to buy your second home now?
Yeah, we have to be careful with where we put that money. You can't just go putting cash on a house. So, there's certain you can't buy certain things with certain types of money.
Oh,
it gets a little dirty.
Yeah, no, you're right.
I can't be caught riding dirty.
Oh.
So anyway, so we both like Kentucky in that game. I agree. So then that brings us to our next game, which is, how about that Loyola Nevada? Or I'm sorry, that would bring us to the well, what I have is a Tennessee game. It's going to be Loyola versus Nevada.
Yeah.
7 o'clock on Thursday.
So a game of upsets, I guess.
I guess.
So, I mean, this is a pretty, after seeing Loyola Chicago and Nevada play a couple of times now, this is, I think, a pretty evenly matched game. My one thing is, and I thought this was going to take effect against UC, and it didn't. And Mick Cronin even said something about it at halftime, saying that about Nevada's depth. They only play like 6 guys. So he even said hopefully that will have an impact on the game in the second half, and it didn't. So they score, they figure out how to win with 6 guys, but it's going to bite them at some point.
Sure.
Will it against Loyola Chicago? I don't know, but I think I'm gonna go. I think I'm gonna go Nevada.
Going Nevada, really?
I think I am. Yeah.
I like it. Anytime a coach is gonna run around with no shirt on and drop F-bombs the whole time they're trying to interview him, I love it, baby. I hope that this dream keeps going for Nevada. Although it's a good story with the Nun, I'm going with Nevada. This is a game that I'm not gonna touch when it comes to the spread. It's 1.5 on the spread. I wouldn't touch it just because I don't know enough about either one of these teams. I do believe that Nevada will win. They're giving 1.5. So if you want, I
think it's a 1-possession game.
So that scares me out. I wouldn't even mess with it. Sounds like you wouldn't either. So there you go. All right. Well, we both like Nevada there. So that'll take us down into the West bracket, which is going to give you Florida State and Gonzaga.
Go ahead, say it.
It's okay. It's Florida State and Gonzaga.
Okay. Look, I really like Gonzaga. Really high-scoring team. Really, coached really well by Mark Few for a long time now. I'm taking Florida State. We talked about it last week. They're big. They're athletic. They always are. They're really long. They just, I just like that athleticism. Gonzaga has a bunch of good players as well. Florida State is going to make problems, I think, for them with their length.
Yeah, I disagree. I think Gonzaga wins this game. I really like Gonzaga, and Florida. Unless they decide they're going to turn their defense on all game, I don't know that they're going to beat Gonzaga. I think there was a big lift on their side of things. 5.5 on that spread. I'd take Florida with the points, but I'd take Gonzaga to win the game.
Very good.
All right, so where does that take us next? To the bottom half of that bracket, which is going to be the Michigan-Texas A&M game. Texas A&M. How about them Aggies, buddy?
I'll tell you what, they looked really good. They've got a couple of good posts. Michigan does too, though.
Yeah.
So they have both teams have decent guards as well, but this is, I think, going to be one of those games that is maybe a little rare in the tournament where guard play might not be the most determining factor here. It's both teams have good bigs, so Texas A&M is really good. Michigan, it feels like after the run they went through in the Big Ten tournament and winning that, and then hitting that shot to beat Houston at the buzzer, it just feels like it's that team this year that has that thing where they're just finding ways to win, and they have this, whatever this streak is, whether it's luck or just catching fire at the right time or both. It's probably both. So I'm taking Michigan.
You're going to take Michigan?
I am.
So I think Texas A&M wins this game. I'm taking the 3 points that they're getting, and I'm taking Texas A&M. I think Michigan's runs over. I agree with everything you say, but A&M's just played more consistent. Well, I don't know if you can say more consistent. They showed me a lot. That UNC game, they beat UNC. I mean, it wasn't
by 21 points.
Yeah, it wasn't like it was anything. It wasn't like it was a close game. So, I mean, they straight beat them. And I think that if they continue this run, I think they make it past Michigan.
I also grew up a Michigan fan because of the Fab Five, and I had a Michigan starter hat and a Michigan starter coat.
Yeah, you did.
So
Yeah.
that's actually the only reason I'm picking them.
Because of your starter, because of the
I'm-
sweet starter jacket you used to have?
I miss my starter coat from when I was 10.
I was so jealous of your Michigan starter jacket.
You
And I
had-
finally got I got a Notre Dame Power Zone or something like that jacket. It was a knockoff starter. It had the P instead of the S, had the P on the zipper. Yeah, I had that bad boy, the Notre Dame. Not even a Notre Dame fan. I have no idea why I got that. It's just the jacket they got. He was the only one, the only team they had in the Power Eyes or Power Zone or whatever it was called. But no, I ended up getting my Xavier starter coat when I was it took a few more years.
I remember that. I
Yeah.
remember that coat.
Yeah, I love that coat. I still have that. Paul wears it all the time.
Oh yeah.
Uncle Paul. Yeah. Well, actually, no. Uncle Paul's got a different one. He has his own. I think mine was much smaller.
Yeah.
Although Paul probably could have wore it. All right. So in the East, Villanova, West Virginia. I had both these teams playing in this game. These games are gonna be on Friday. So Villanova, give them 5.5. Villanova is good. West Virginia looked really good against Marshall. Marshall gave them a little game in the first 5 minutes, but West Virginia looked good. They got a point guard out there. West Virginia's got a point guard who is determined to stay in this as long as he possibly can. Javon Carter, and he is playing out of his mind right now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, West Virginia. So you're taking?
I take West Virginia with 5.5, but I take Villanova to win the game.
Okay. So West Virginia is a really good team. Obviously, any Bob Huggins coach team is going to be really tough, physical, athletic. They're going to play great defense. Villanova is too complete. They're way too complete a team. They have probably 3 or 4 NBA players. Villanova, I take them straight up and points. I take them every way you can.
Phil Booth, Jalen Brunson, Mikal Bridges, without a doubt, and probably the best player playing right now on their team is probably Dante DiVincenzo. So
yeah.
When you just continue to come at them, and then they got Pascal, and they are. Of course, I'm a little biased to the Big East, but I think they are as complete a team. They can beat you by if West Virginia defends the 3, which they're capable of doing, they do have a chance to beat Villanova. That's how you beat Villanova. You've got to find, and it's sometimes they're contested threes and it doesn't matter. They're just hot. They're hot. Yeah. But that's what you got to do. If you can stop Villanova from hitting a 3, you can beat them.
I hear you.
All right, so bring you over here to the bottom game in that East bracket, which is going to be Texas Tech and Purdue. This is a game. Somehow Purdue's laying 1.5 right now. I think you're going to see a lot of money getting put on Texas Tech. Going to push this line. I bet this line gets pushed almost 2 points, maybe to where Texas Tech becomes a favorite, or at least to pick them. Maybe I'm wrong, but I take Texas Tech right now, getting 1.5. I think they win this game straight up, maybe by 10.
Wow. I take Texas Tech as well. They're just playing really well. I really liked watching them play over the weekend. Purdue's a nice team. They are missing their big guy Haas.
Yep.
They had other guys step up, but it took everything to beat Butler. I mean, it took everything
to beat Butler.
It did, and which is that's not saying anything about Butler. Butler's a really good team too, but just the way I saw both teams play, I think Texas Tech is super hot right now. I think they're, they're gonna. I agree with you. Take them points, no points.
Doesn't matter. Yeah. However you want to do it. I mean that Purdue 76-73 in that Butler game. I mean it was literally took everything they had to hold on, just to hold on to that game. So. I agree with you there. I'm sticking with that, and that'll take us into the Midwest. So that puts us at Kansas versus Clemson. This is tough for me, man. Clemson came out and absolutely annihilated Auburn the other night. I mean, they It was not even a game. I mean, I think they won by 31, and to be honest, that doesn't even tell you the whole game. I mean, it was probably could have been a 50-point game if they wanted it to be, but they sat a couple guys there at the end. So
Yeah. So you're taking Clemson to upset Kansas then, huh?
I thought Kansas would be the first number 1 seed out of this tournament. I thought they would have. I had them losing to Seton Hall, and I really thought that was going to be where they ended their run. But they look good. They're playing good at the right time, and it's just what Kansas always does. They always, not always, but yeah, this is a tough game for me. I mean, it was a close game in that Seton Hall. Seton Hall had a chance to win. You know what? I'm going to take Clemson to win. I'm taking Clemson to win plus 4.5. That's the points. Plus the points they're getting. I'll take it straight up too.
Attaboy. Yeah, I picked Clemson to make it to this game as well, and I picked NC State to beat Seton Hall and then NC State to beat Kansas. So we were kind of on the same page,
right?
And you were almost exactly right because Kansas only beat Seton Hall by 4 points.
Right.
Seton Hall made it really tough on them. So, So I am really torn. I'm really torn in this game because I think Clemson's really good, and they played in the ACC. They played Duke and Carolina, and some of the best teams in the country all year. Kansas struggled at home a little bit this year. It was a strange year for Kansas. Having said that, Devontae Graham, Azubuike, they have a post that led the nation in field goal percentage. So as a team, they shoot 50% from the field because he shoots 70
it's
something for 77% or something from the field. Devontae Graham's one of the best guards in the country.
We talked about him last time. Devontae Graham is a candidate for Player of the Year.
He certainly is. So because of that balance, because of their just because I don't know, I just feel like Kansas should and therefore will take care of business in a really close game.
Yeah. All right. Well, that'll be interesting to see what happens there. Right. So that brings us to the last of it. Another crazy win. To see Michigan State go down was not normal to say the least. So this Syracuse team, which Michigan State looked like they had no idea what to do against that 2-3 zone. And I did not get to see this game. I just watched highlights. However, I can tell you that Duke knows the 2-3 zone. Mm-hmm. Duke's playing the 2-3 zone right now and doing well playing it. And they beat Syracuse by 20 a week or two ago. So I think that this is the highest spread game of the entire Sweet 16. So at 11.5, I take Duke with points. This is one favorite that I would take with points. Duke's gonna win this game. This is an easy one for me.
I'm on the same page. You can't ignore Syracuse, no matter what they did in the regular season. You can't ignore what they're doing right now and what they did this weekend.
No, you're right.
Beating Michigan State. I had Duke in this bracket that we did to making our predictions, but in probably 3 or 4 other brackets that I filled out, I had Michigan State in the Final Four. Mm-hmm. So, to beat a good TCU team and then to beat to really upset a Michigan State team that I thought was going to be in the Final Four and playing for a championship. It's tough to think that it's the same. I don't think it's the same Syracuse team that we saw 3-4 weeks ago.
I agree
2
with
months
that.
ago.
I agree with that. But these teams don't ever see this 2-3 zone. These non-ACC, which by the way, I think half of the or a quarter of the Sweet 16's ACC teams, which you were talking you love so much.
Right.
Anyway, these other conferences don't see the length and the 2-3 zone played the way that Syracuse plays it. So yeah, I mean teams don't know what to do, but when they're going to have to play a team playing as good as anybody in the whole country, and that played them 3 times already this year. I think this is I don't think it's going to be close.
Yeah, I am with you. And yeah, to speak on that, you can watch the 2-3 zone on film and break it down and devise a game plan that is
just get to the middle. Just so simple, right?
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Yeah,
so
except for
simple.
when everybody's got a 7'2" wingspan, your
Right.
guard's got a 7-foot wingspan, and they're playing out on you at the 3-point line. It's not easy.
Right. Yeah. When you get in the game, you can game plan and feel great. You get in the game, and the 2-3 zone feels like there are 8 guys playing defense against you.
Mm-hmm.
It's totally different. But Duke, kind of like you said, will be prepared. They are one of the few teams that will be prepared for that zone and any other kind of defense you want to throw at them. Because Mike Krzyzewski is a coaching legend and he always has great assistants, and they're always ready to play. And like you said, Duke is playing as well as anybody else in the country right now. So yeah, I take Duke with the points as well.
All right, so then let's do this real quick because we're already at 30 minutes. So we'll probably do another 15 minutes here, but let's run through this real quick and give me your adjusted new Final Four, and then give me, because we won't be back together until after the championship game. So we might be together for the championship game, but we won't be doing this again until afterwards. So
Okay.
tell me who you got in your new adjusted Final Four and your champion is now, because we all know that both of our champions are both gone. Virginia, Xavier. So let's make them. Let's find out what's really going to happen.
All right, in the South, I'm taking Kentucky. They're the highest seeded team, and not because of that. But
We all know you're Chalky McChalkerson.
yeah, you're right. You're right. But yeah, no, I don't see any of the other 3 teams beating Kentucky.
Mhm.
So I take them in the South. In the West,
The Elite Eight, you're gonna. I mean, you got Gonzaga and Michigan State, right? So, or I'm sorry, Michigan.
No, I have Florida State, Michigan.
Oh, that's right. That's right. You took Florida State.
So I'm taking Michigan. Man, it's so tough. But yeah, you know what? Of the teams that are left, I'm going to take Michigan.
East.
In the East, I have Villanova.
Oh.
I'm sticking with Villanova.
Okay.
Villanova, Texas Tech would be so good. But I'll take Villanova.
Be a fun game.
Yeah. And in the Midwest, Duke.
All right, so we're I got 3 of the 4. So I'm gonna go UK. Kentucky's just got to walk through almost the championship game, to be completely honest, the way that they're playing. I mean, they have that guard, that go-to scorer, Gildress Alexander, Shea Gildress Alexander. Can I just call him Shea Alexander? I think that's okay, right? I feel like there's Kentucky fans that have talked to me. My buddy Rick, Slick Rick, we talked about him. Huge Kentucky fan. I'm pretty sure that he's called him Shea Alexander. I feel like as big a Kentucky fan as he is, I can say Shea Alexander.
Okay.
So Shea Alexander's playing out of his mind right now, as well as Gabriel, who is I love watching that kid play. He gets at it. Knox, obviously good. They got a lot of really good talent, and they're playing very well together right now. So, yeah, I'm going to go Kentucky. Plus, they get Vanderbilt back. I'm sure Vanderbilt will probably be playing. Anyway, I'm taking Kentucky in the South. I'm taking the Zags in the West. And then I'm going to go Nova and Duke, because that's what I had before, and I don't think that'll change.
Yeah.
Who's your champion?
My champion is now, boy, oh boy, the winner of the Villanova Duke game.
Over,
Kentucky.
I think Kentucky gets in over Gonzaga as well. Man, that Nova Duke game is really going to be fun, dude. Yeah. That is going to be an
Just
absolute
make that the
blast.
National championship game.
Oh my God, that would be so much fun. Reseed after at the Final Four. A reseeding. Everybody's playing in the same place. Let's get to Sacramento. Reseed it. Let's go. Villanova versus Gonzaga and Duke versus Kentucky. How much fun would that be?
Uh,
Even as a national championship game, that could be fun.
it could be
Because
fun.
I got UK in the championship. I can't do Duke, though. I got to go Nova. I think Nova is just – they are as solid a team as there is. So I'm taking Nova over Kentucky as well. The experience of Villanova, and they have the length to play with Kentucky, and they have the talent. They have maybe not the same talent, but they have 3 NBA players and some really good role players to go along with them. So yeah, I'm taking Nova. Sorry, Rick. And
I'll forgive you.
Yeah. No, I don't think any of them ever expected him to have this kind of walk. Everybody thought even Calipari was complaining about how tough that bracket is. Look at him now. Yeah, the guy who had the best weekend this weekend was definitely John Calipari. He had the best weekend.
He probably feels bad about complaining so much.
I'm sure. Yeah, I'm sure.
Nah,
he does.
probably not.
No, probably not. He's gonna do it anyway. All right, so that's what we got for the tournament now. We are from Cincinnati. We live in Cincinnati. Obviously, there's big things that happened here. We'll take just a couple minutes and go over them. I'm going to throw it to you. Tell me what's going to happen with this UC team that is breaking records in the NCAA tournament with 22-point deficits being come back from.
Right. Yeah, they gave up a 22-point lead with like 10 minutes to go in the game, which is the second largest lead given up in tournament history, which I was surprised by. I thought it'd be more than that, honestly. But
that's a lot of points, and I'm pretty sure that they're the only team that has been down 22 in the second half and came back and won. I can't remember if that's correct or not, but either way, I mean, they were up by 22 with like 12 minutes left in the second half.
Yeah. Yeah, and the story with them was, will they be able to score enough points to beat teams? You know, their defense was good.
And it was the total opposite side. I mean, you're talking about a team that was scoring 82. Nevada was scoring 82, 86 points a game, and UC holding teams to 57 points a game. I mean, you were going to get to see how it was going to go. And I mean, I think the game was a great game. I think that the sportscasters, I don't remember who was doing the game. I don't know if it wasn't Jim Nance. The same guys who did the UC game or the Xavier game. Anyway, I think they made a little bit of a big deal about Cumberland having 4 fouls and Mick leaving them in. Mick's done that before in those situations. In fact, I was surprised that Trayvon Blewett came out right away when he had 4 fouls, because normally he'll leave he'll take JP out if he gets 4, but he'll leave Trey in. I'm sorry, not 4, 2 fouls in the first half. He'll leave Trey in there because Trey's a smart guy. But when Mick obviously realized what he did, because if anybody saw the slow-mo of him yelling at Cumberland, he was not yelling at Cumberland he was yelling at himself.
I'll tell you what.
Cumberland picked up his 5th foul with 8 minutes to go, and they replayed it right afterwards. And Cumberland is just calm as can be, looking at the ref, just surprised. And Mick Cronin starts screaming at him. It says, could you read his lips?
I don't think I saw that part.
I'm a pretty good lip reader. I consider myself a pretty good lip reader. And he said, I believe it was, calm the F down, but not in this tone of voice. It was, Mick Cronin's, calm the F down. And then he said, F me, and walked away.
Huh.
He was mad at himself. He knew that might have been a little too much time to have left him in with.
Yeah, I wonder, because Mick Cronin will really get after his assistants sometimes. I wonder if any of his assistants were in his ear one way or the other about leaving him in or taking him out.
Yeah.
And from what I understand, I think I missed this, but Cumberland waved him off. Like when he picked up his 4th foul, he waved him off, said,
I didn't see that.
And I guess he trusted his player, which is great.
I love that, and I think most players love coaches like that, and he'll continue to get recruits because of things like that. However,
having said that, I think you're right, though. Probably too much time left.
Yeah.
To leave him in with that, especially being, a young guy too.
Wait till that under 4, yeah, because Cumberland's probably going to be the best player on this team next year.
Yeah.
Unless Evans comes back, then obviously Jacob Evans will be the best player, but.
Right.
Cumberland's got the possibility to be. If Evans stays as complacent as he is sometimes, Cumberland could easily be. He was in this tournament. Well, no, take that back. Gary Clark's still their best player, but he was right there with him.
Yeah. So they are losing some really big time seniors. But like you said, Cumberland, Evans if he comes back, Kane Broom.
Mm-hmm.
Those guys they're still going to be a really good team next year. So I
Does so all the like normal. Mick can't get us out of the second round. Blah blah blah. You don't think Mick's going anywhere?
don't think he's going anywhere. Nope.
I agree.
Nope.
Yeah, I agree. I think Mick will stay there, which is good for Xavier because that keeps our run in the crosstown shootout going strong.
Look at you.
I know.
Speaking of Xavier,
Oh God. Oh,
glad you brought that up.
good game. I just like pressing buttons. I did not sleep last night.
So
I did not sleep. Oh, heartbreaker.
okay, okay, obviously, so Florida State, so Xavier held a 12-point lead, as much as 12, right?
Yeah.
And they held. It seemed to me like they held a lead around there for a decent amount of time.
Yeah, they it was constant comebacks. It was between most of the game was between 10 and 6 points.
Right. So but at the end, Florida State made more plays.
They made more plays. They turned up their defense.
Mm-hmm.
Their defense became. We weren't. It was like we weren't ready for the pressure at the end of that game.
Yeah.
And I don't know if we were looking for fouls or what happened. Blewett, who has been who
you know what he did? He blew it.
That was terrible.
It was terrible. That's why I did it.
Oh, I love it. I think that there's a lot of people that have been waiting for Blewett to blow it for a while, just so they could use that. Careful, watch out for that mic. The Blewett to blow it.
Blewett to blow it. I love that.
So, yeah, he could possibly be the greatest Musketeer to ever play. It's Xavier.
Wow.
I mean, I don't know how you could. I mean, he's done more than anybody, team-wise, that they've been on. I mean, they've gone to Elite Eight under him. They've been to a Sweet 16 with him. He's gone to every tournament since he's been here. The kid's, I mean, he's the second highest scorer in the history of the school. But he had the worst game of his entire career against Florida State. And then 2 turnovers in 40 seconds. I don't even know what he was doing. He just dribbled directly into Florida State's defense. Like, he didn't even, I don't know. I love the guy. I hate to talk about him. I can't. It still hurts.
So I specifically wanted to ask you about that. So he had in 32 minutes 8 points, 1 rebound, 1 assist. Had those turnovers at the end of the game. There were, he was great all year. He's as good a scorer, probably as good a shooter as just about anybody in the country. Maybe
one of the quickest releases in the country.
Sure. And that'll help him at the next level. That's great.
I don't really care what he does at the next. I love him. I hope he does good at the next level, but I would have rather seen him win that game.
But that's not the first time he has kind of disappeared in games like that.
He doesn't, and he usually what Trey will do is he disappears in a half. Happens all the time. For the last 3 years, he'll disappear for a half. Mm-hmm. He'll have 20 points in a half, and he'll have 2 in the other. And sometimes it's the first, sometimes it's the second. That happens all the time, but he's always had the players around him where it wasn't that big of a deal because he doesn't force things. He did force a little bit in that Florida State game, but for the most part, he doesn't force things. He scores on. He doesn't take a ton of shots. But when he takes them, he makes them. So yeah, I mean, a lot of times people when people are focusing their defense on him, he'll let it go somewhere else. And when the way Cantor was playing, I don't blame him, but I still would have rather seen him take a 3 straight away than an air ball from Karam Cantor.
Right.
But yeah, you're right. He has, and that's been a thing, an MO of his for a while. But it's always been halves, and there's been a couple games out there that were big games. But for the most part, it's just a half. He just had nothing in that game.
Yeah. Okay, so like you see, this Xavier team is losing a ton as far as senior leadership and guys that play a ton of minutes that are seniors. What's the team going to look like next year?
I have no idea because I think it depends on what Chris Mack does. Louisville's going to come after him hard, and it's going to depend on what they can pay him. I think that's a big thing for anybody. Money, obviously, if they can double his pay, that would be, Xavier's going to have to come up with something to figure out a way. But the ensuing investigation with everything, the FBI deal, I don't,
That's got to play a part in it, right?
Sure, but I mean, just about every team in the country is in on this. So, I don't know if they're gonna be harder on certain people than others, but yeah, I mean, I think that plays a part in it. I think his wife's from down there, so he's got ties down there. It's Louisville, which I don't, Louisville was always that team that was trying to get with the big boys for years and years, and then when they got out of that Big East, even towards the end of the Big East, and then they got into the ACC, they became one of those big boys, and now they want to stay there, and I don't blame them. Chris Mack's stock is as high as it's ever going to get. These 4 seniors, 3 that have played together for the last 4 years, he's brought these guys together. Chris Mack's not one to leave on a class like that, so if he's going to leave, it's going to be with Gates being the only senior on the team next year. And it's going to be after these guys are gone, and his stock is as high as it's ever going to be. So I think there's a chance. I really don't want to see it. But then you got recruits that could leave. You got transfers that can happen. I think it all comes down to Chris Mack. I have no idea what's going to happen with this team. You got 2 really good guards in Scruggs and Gooden. There'll be a junior. Gooden will be a junior. Scruggs will be a sophomore. Najee Marshall, if he can keep himself on the court, that's what killed us the other day. We had to play guys with so many fouls because Najee Marshall couldn't keep himself on the court injury-wise. He's had back issues since he started his freshman year this year. The ankle deal the other day. I hate to say it, man. This is as nervous. I have no idea what's going to be of the Xavier team next year. None.
I feel like
they have the 6th best recruiting class in the Big East, not in the country, in the Big East. That's not very good.
Yeah. I mean, the crazy thing is the recruiting at Xavier is as good as it's ever been under Chris Mack. And, obviously this senior class is a testament to that. So
no doubt.
But, I think he's, he and his staff are still good recruiters. If he sticks around, that'll be big. I think they'll be.
I think Xavier will be
fine.
fine. I don't think there's anybody that's going to contest them as the 2nd best team in the Big East. I mean, maybe not. They'll contest them, but I think that they will continue to be in the top 3 in the Big East. I don't think that's a problem with them staying. I like Travis Steele a lot. That guy's awesome.
And speaking of that, if Chris Mack leaves, who do you want to see?
There's only 2 guys on my list. If I was Xavier, there's only 2 guys.
I think I know who they are.
One of them is Travis Steele, which I think that they should go after first. I think that should be their first guy they go after because they're going to look that they've always done a great job with coaches. They usually bring somebody in that's not going to cost them a ton of money. But I think Travis Steele's number 1. And
Can I guess?
Sure.
Your other one?
Yeah.
Pat Kelsey.
Yes, that's exactly correct.
I would love to. I would look. Yeah, from everything I've heard and interviews that I've seen him do, Travis Steele seems like
he's awesome.
An excellent. Yeah, like he'd be an excellent coach. I would love to see Pat Kelsey come back and coach at X. I would love it.
It'd be so great.
So I think if
that's where I learned my ball yelling at defenses is from Pat Kelsey.
Oh man, does he love defense?
That'd be something different for Xavier.
Right. Hey, I heard a guy that covers Xavier on the radio today, and he said that the Xavier team is going to look a lot different next year, but they should be a lot better defensively next year.
Oh, I agree with that because the guys you are losing, I mean, Makira, let's be honest, is a little slow on the defensive side of the ball. The guy's as athletic as anybody in the whole world. And he has got a lot of blocks and steals, but they become when he gets beat and he'll tap it from behind or make a block. He's got great hands, great hands. And then Najee Marshall, and then Blewett gets beat a lot.
Yeah, he does.
But he puts a lot into his offensive game. So, it's what you get, you give and you take. But Najee Marshall came out and he was guarding the best players on the team this year, on the other team this year. Mm-hmm. He's a freshman. Scruggs has become a great defender. Gooden was probably our best defender at the end of the year last year. And was great all year this year. So, yeah, we got a lot of – I think defensively, yes, we'll be good. I'm a little worried about our size inside. You're losing O'Mara. You still got Tyreek, but you're losing O'Mara. Gates isn't going to play down low. He's going to shoot. We got this big boy from Cufcath coming in. Mm-hmm. He's 7 foot. But, listen, white guys that are 7 foot or 6'10 or 6'11 at Xavier, it takes them 3 years before – no knock. I don't, whatever. It's just we always have them. I mean, go back as
Kenny
far as you
Freeze.
want. Go back even before that. I mean, you got Kenny Freeze. Matt Stainbrook came to us in his third year, but Kenny Freeze, Matt Stainbrook, Sean O'Mara. I mean, it's a constant thing Xavier's had for the last 10, 12 years, and so you got to have that big white guy under there, but it's going to take a while. I mean, he's just going to be girth for a little bit.
Yeah.
So we'll see.
Yeah.
All right, man. We got about 5 minutes left to go here. So once again, please, if you're listening to this, give us some ideas on what the heck we should call this thing, because I got no idea.
Yeah.
And then, subscribe. Let us know you're listening.
YouTube.
Tweet us. Is
Tweet.
it twit on the tweeter or tweet on the Twitter?
It's tweet.
That sounded right. Yeah.
It's tweet.
So if you want to shout a tweet, do you shout a tweet or type a tweet? If you want to type a tweet, you can catch Adam over there at Adam Schmidt 44. Literally, it is at Adam Schmidt. At sign. Don't type in AT Adam Schmidt 44. It's at sign,
Right.
or at Sick With It. Gosh, that's now that I chose that and I'm telling people to go there, I feel like.
Well, you were a young man back then. It was you were in your early 30s then.
That's so true. At Sick With It. All right, yeah. So hit me up at Sick With It. SICWHITTIT. IT.
Yeah.
That's all we got for today. So we'll talk to you guys later, and we'll be back after the tournament's over, and possibly get into a little. We'll recap the Elite Eight and Final Four, and then we'll probably after that. I'd like to start talking about a little bit of baseball.
I think we're going to talk baseball. I think we're going to talk a little NBA.
I love the NBA.
We got a lot more to talk about.
I get excited about that. All right, see ya.
Bye.
It really is a good jam, ain't it? Oh, you feel that?